All right, man. So week one's in the books. Obviously, an important week for a lot of people. They want to see themselves get a win, but it's not the end of the world if you have a loss, right? Like it's the very first week of the year. We're here with the overreactions, bro. And this is the time when everybody's gonna look at their lineup and be like, "Man, I hate these players. I got to trade these players. I got to
Yeah.
drop these players." So just chill
Yeah.
on the week one. But obviously, we had real football, and the real football impacts our fantasy decisions at a really big scale. Tyler, was there anything week one wise where you're just like, man, this is something we got to talk about, or something that you noted throughout the week?
I first just kind of piggyback off of what you said. I mean, historically, I don't know what my first week opening weekend record is, but like I seem to lose a ton. And I do pretty well in fantasy football. So it's not the end of the world. And there's been times I know for sure I've looked at my team and said it's awful, and then I went to still win the championship. So you're don't panic. But one thing that I will say, I just think it was a bad opening weekend in general. You had I saw a stat, I don't remember exactly who it was from, but the 49ers and New York Jets needed 300 over 300 passing yards each to not break the record. It was the lowest passing yardage total by quarterbacks since 2013. So it was just a rough weekend, and you go around the league, and like I was trying to think of why. I just think that you have so many new quarterbacks. You have rookies coming in. You also have veterans that are banged up. Like Kirk Cousins looked awful. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, like there's moments, but and like the other problem is some of these guys don't play the preseason. Like, why is Bryce Young not playing the preseason?
Yeah.
And it makes no sense. Like with some of these teams. So it was not a good weekend of football, honestly. Hopefully week 2 is better and there's better games, but honestly, week 1 was kind of disappointing as a whole. I think a lot of teams in my leagues were just lower scoring than average.
Yeah, it was a bad week. And I think the number was 18. 18 quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks threw for under 200 yards. And that's wild.
That's bad.
When you really think about it, like under 200 yards is bad quarterback play. And I think we're getting a mixture of injured quarterbacks returning, players that didn't play in preseason. We also are getting young quarterbacks thrust into
Mhm.
starting roles now that haven't had time to develop. And then we're just getting just shitty quarterback play in
Yeah.
general. Like just there's just bad quarterbacks. So to me, man, it's going to hurt our fantasy year at least to start off, and I think it's going to take teams a few weeks to warm up. But when it happens, I think we'll be fine. It's just this ramp up is going to take some time. So don't overreact to week one. But I think what Tyler and I are going to do on this show today is really kind of give some insight to specific scenarios that you might be debating in your head or might have some questions about. And let's start with the running back room in Miami, right? Obviously, there's a game coming up for Thursday. Devon Achane clearly took over the running back one spot. I think that was widely expected. He was the highest drafted running back for the Dolphins. Had a goal line carry as well, so you love to see that. But there's a couple nuances when it comes to the actual play on the field and what actually happens and versus what translates in the box score. Devon Achane obviously got banged up at the end of that game, but Raheem Mostert was injured on the very first play of the game. So obviously, did that affect things? He didn't perform well. He didn't carry the ball well. But we've seen Raheem Mostert have games like that and then completely kill shit the next week. So this running back room was Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson. Jaylen Wright was a surprise inactive for the week. Coming up there on a short week, how are we evaluating this running back room? Because there's a chance that Jaylen Wright plays. There's a chance that Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, one of those guys is banged up. How are you evaluating this running back room for the Dolphins heading into Thursday?
So for me, as of recording this right now, we don't know what the practice report is as of Tuesday. So I mean, if both these guys are practicing, then I'm not too worried about it. But I understand that Jaylen Wright wasn't inactive, but you see that with rookies, like especially early in the season. Last year, I don't want to compare him to Devon Achane, but last year, first game of the season, Devon Achane wasn't inactive, and then the second week, I want to say he only played like 8% of the snaps, and then he went off. So, like we see this with rookies all the time. They take a little bit of time to ramp up. Like everybody thought Caleb Williams was going to be the greatest quarterback. He looked pretty bad week 1. Like these guys take a little bit of time to get going. So for me personally, how I would approach it is I want Jaylen Wright still on my team. If you have him, I would hold him, especially because this week is just not very good for waivers in general. So there's really not many people that I would even drop him for. I would just continue to stash. And if somebody did drop him, then I probably, unless these two guys don't practice, then I would put in a claim for Jaylen Wright because I do think that he has some value, along with Jeff Wilson too. If both these guys don't play, then like honestly, him and Jaylen Wright have value going forward.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to know exactly what to do with these backs, especially if they don't play. But it is a short week, and it wouldn't be surprising to see a Jaylen Wright activated for this game if one of those two obviously is super banged up. But I think the hierarchy of this running back room, it was obvious to me that Devon Achane was the more involved in the passing game, and it looked like more of a pure split when it came to the run game. So the question I have, and I think moving forward, we'll find out hopefully some answers on Thursday. Was Devon Achane's goal line carry a product of him being the absolute starter, or was it a product of Raheem Mostert's inefficiency and injury? So I think that's a part of what I'm evaluating.
You know what my answer is.
Huh?
You know what my answer is.
Well, I know what your answer is, but I think it's worth evaluating, right? Like we can, me and you, we can sit here and guess, and I can talk about how I think Raheem Mostert will be valuable at times. But really, what comes down to it's usage. Usage dictates it all, and we didn't see enough to dictate that one way or the other. We saw one running back carry we saw a red zone carry for Devon Achane. We didn't see anything else out of that, right? So there is still some unknowns with this offense, and I think it's time to what I do personally during the season is like I go through my offseason takes, right? I'm like, these are my takes. But now it's just like this first 4 weeks is all evaluation, and if we get Jaylen Wright thrust into this thing on Thursday night, it's just going to make this thing all convoluted. So I think what I'm looking at is who's the bell cow. Yeah, I think we know Achane is going to touch the ball, but is it like you think Mostert is just complete shit and not part of the offense anymore, or do you think that it was just a bad game for him?
No, I think that like Mostert will definitely be involved, and this is kind of the thing with Devon Achane. Devon Achane is never going to be a bell cow running back. Like it's just not. He's not big enough. What he is, and you saw it this weekend, like 7 catches for 70 something. Like the dude is just. He's insane, especially in the receiving game, where this offense is just early season 2. This offense is just on another level typically. But I still think that Jaylen Wright is like somebody who can be involved in this offense because we already see it. Like I don't know actually what's going on with Devon Achane's injury. Like I went and try to look at X, but there's really nothing kind of going on with him right now. Like I don't know exactly what the injury was, but. Like
it was an ankle late. It was like an ankle late in the game, I want to say.
Yeah, like
an ankle.
So, but we know that Devon Achane is number one. He's a smaller back. Raheem Mostert has been banged up throughout his entire career. He's 32 years old. Jeff Wilson's 20. I want to say he's 28, 29 years old. He's been in the league for a while. He's an older running back. So, we know that this running back room, no matter who gets the opportunity, it's kind of like San Francisco. We saw Jordan Mason look fantastic. It's just a really good system for running back. So I would have Jaylen Wright, no matter if he doesn't even, I would still hold him because who knows what next week brings for waiver wires. This week, it's still not very good, but I think the hierarchy is still a split between Mostert and Achane if they're still, if they're healthy. But Achane, in my opinion, is just going to get those more valuable touches in terms of like receiving work. And honestly, I can still see it split in the red zone between both those guys.
Well, quick update before we get on to the next team. A quick update from Dolphins offensive coordinator Frank Smith was non-committal on whether Mostert and Achane will play Thursday. Both guys are working through some things. And it's thought and believed that Devon Achane has the dreaded high ankle injury. So we will see. Hopefully we get more on that. But Jaylen Wright is a player who, if you have him, like Tyler mentioned, it looks like he's probably, even if both of those guys do play on Thursday on a short week, you got to imagine Jaylen Wright might have some opportunities in the run game. So Jeff Wilson, Jaylen Wright, names to monitor. I would say roster Jaylen Wright just in case some things happen or one of those two happens to be out for an extended period of time. All right, moving on real quick.
Well, Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert both didn't practice today either.
So, man, both didn't practice. And there's a short week Thursday, so bro, a lot going on with running backs just in general, bro. Like I said, I'm sure we could be on here for the next 2-3 hours talking about this. But Devon Achane and obviously Raheem Mostert not practicing. Jaylen Wright needs to be a priority pickup heading into Tuesday's waiver wire pickup. So or Wednesday, whatever day you want to call it. But today at midnight. We got waiver wire pickups 3 p.m. on the